Welcome to today's video, guys. It's August 2025 and Iran is likely cooking up something spicy in their secret labs, and it's not just incense. Yeah, it's like that neighbor who's like, oh, don't worry about that, it's just incense. But there's whispers of hidden uranium in fortresses like Pickaxe Mountain. The president of Iran is moaning about a battered nuclear program, while the Ayatollah is essentially acting like Darth Vader with a fully operational Death Star, basically saying nothing has been done to their nuclear program. So what is actually going on? Is Iran slipping something past the goalie to enrich uranium under the radar? Israel's still out there sniffing out Iran's secrets like a bloodhound going after a mountain lion. They're armed with tech that is sharper than Tony Stark's Iron Man suit. But if this war kicks back off, this will be a massive change because the stakes are going to be a lot higher than the first time. In this video, we're digging into Iran's moves, what they've been up to, the tech that is driving this potential next showdown, and what could actually spark the next inferno if this war kicks back off. And we'll get back to Iran here in a second, but I want to do a little segment about breaking news that's happening right now. So Russia's jet-powered Shahed kamikaze drones, those are slamming into Ukraine. What's the difference? So they've had these Shahed drones before, but now these drones are outpacing defenses, speeds of up to 370 miles per hour out of these jet-powered ones. The US is also countering Russia's nuclear threat by moving 2 nuclear submarines closer to the backyards of Russia. So tensions are boiling over between the US and Russia as President Trump wants a ceasefire deal to happen. And then there's tensions in the South China Sea with the US and China, so we can't forget about that. And then Iran's missile buildup is shaking things up. This is a global firestorm. I'll get into all those subjects more towards the end of the video, but I want to start doing these little segments on breaking news as well. So definitely stay to the end of the video, stay locked in, and I'll get a little bit more into those breaking news topics. So Iran's nuclear ambitions are under the microscope, but the rhetoric right now, it's messier than a breakup and you're trying to figure out who gets the dog. This is an insane showdown where we actually try to figure out what Iran's next move might be. And as we all know, in the 12-day war, Israel and the US hammered Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. Iran says that 1,000 people were killed, including 13 of their nuclear scientists, but their supreme leader, the Ayatollah, hit back on July 15th, saying that the West's claims of the 1,000 deaths and the 13 scientists are just pretext for an additional attack, but the Ayatollah is saying that their program still has juice. And as you can see, there's multiple different perspectives coming out of Iran's leadership. Their foreign minister is quoted as saying buildings can be rebuilt, machines replaced, and that they've got plenty of scientists. So Iran's playing a dangerous game. So it seems like they're essentially trying to slip uranium past watchful eyes like a fox is slipping into the henhouse. So we're going to investigate the scenario if Iran's actually cooking up a uranium plot and what that might look like and how it would be countered. So before the 12-day war, satellites caught 16 trucks at Fordo's entrances, hinting that Iran could have tried to slip 400 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium near bomb grade out of sight into some clandestine places. If they did, it's likely stashed somewhere extremely secret. The International Atomic Energy Agency's Rafael Grossi warned in July that Iran could whip up enough for 9 bombs if they push to 90% enrichment, but we can't pin down the uranium's whereabouts just yet. If Iran's actually enriching this uranium in secret, they're playing a high-stakes game that has higher stakes than the Squid Game's finale. This is an insane situation because as soon as it's detected where this stuff is, boom, this conflict could kick back off within hours. And there's even rhetoric coming out of certain leaders in Iran that's saying that enrichment is non-negotiable, that there won't be any deal without them enriching uranium. So are they actually wanting to enrich it for civilian purposes, or do they want to enrich it for a weapon? So if we hear Iran say this is just for civilian purposes, what? This? Don't worry about this little guy. They're trying to spin it as for peaceful purposes, but it's clear that when it comes to having nuclear weapons with regimes like Iran, it's kind of like North Korea. In North Korea, they know that if they actually have nuclear weapons, they have a much better chance of staying in power. And when it comes to regimes like Iran and North Korea, it's all about preserving themselves and preserving their power. So the rhetoric's hot and cold, right? The rhetoric between the president and between the Ayatollah, they want to create confusion, they want to keep people guessing, and the president is a little bit more strategic. He's trying to get the West and Israel to back off for a while, so likely Iran can get that bomb to a place where they feel like they can't be taken out again. So now let's talk about Iran's ghost lab. It's Pickaxe Mountain. I'll do a full video on that and the weaponeering behind that, but Pickaxe Mountain is the prime suspect in Iran's nuclear plot. It sits about 90 miles from from Natanz, and this is a fortress. It's supposedly buried 300 meters under rock, so it's actually deeper than Fordo, the previous deepest site that was struck by GBU-57s. And this site is run by the Revolutionary Guard Corps. It's got 4 tunnel entrances, and it could house thousands of IR-9 centrifuges. Intel sources have said that it is capable of enriching uranium to a weapons grade in weeks. So if some of that 400 kilograms from Fordo, which was at 60% enriched uranium, was moved, then Pickaxe Mountain might be the vault. We're definitely short on hard proof, but satellite images from July show new tunnel construction at Pickaxe Mountain. So that's a fortified defense with anti-drone systems, increased IRGC patrols, so that hints at some serious action going on there. And if I was a betting man, you guys know me, I typically only bet with my life inside of fighter jets, but if I was a betting man, I would say one of 2 things. I would say Pickaxe Mountain is now the center and the core of refining that weapons grade material, or number 2, it's a diversion and a distraction. They're using the art of war, they're using Sun Tzu type tactics, and they're building up their infrastructure at Pickaxe Mountain while they're moving that enriched uranium to some detached sites. And those detached sites are going to be ghost labs themselves. They're going to be small off the grid bunkers with no phones, no internet or radio, and that will help them try to dodge detection. These could be tucked away in the Caviar Desert or the Zagros Mountains. Each will have a handful of IR-6 centrifuges, and that'll be powered by diesel generators. So Pickaxe Mountain and Ghost Labs could form a network that's tougher to crack than a vault in Ocean's 11. What a great movie, by the way.
Exactly.
If Iran's enriching, they're doing it with minimal digital footprints. Posts from X from July mention new underground facilities, more Qom and Bashkir, but no one's confirmed these locations. The IAEA is locked out currently, and Iran's not talking to anyone. So this plot is becoming thicker than a dune sandstorm. But Israel's doing its best to sniff out Iran's secret. It's like that neighbor with the incense going, and you catch a little whiff of something besides incense. Hey, we see what you're doing over there. So to sniff out the Ghost Labs, one of the most important missions that Israel currently has, Israel's deploying Heron TP and Iton drones with AI thermal imaging and gamma ray sensors to detect centrifuge heat or radiation leaks, even in off-grid sites. This is next level technology. Also, satellites with synthetic aperture radar pierce clouds to spot underground builds like Pickaxe's tunnels, with resolution down to 10 centimeters. That's just insane. But 10 centimeters is a lot, right? We're talking about something about this big, right? Mossad's cyber units are hacking Iran's black market supply chains, tracking centrifuge parts like carbon fiber rotors or marriaging steel from Pakistan or China. And posts on X from June claim Israel hacked Iran's air defenses, frying 100 missile launchers on activation. That's a cyber sting with a serious bite. And let me tell you, as a fighter pilot, my hat is off to anyone who can take down those integrated air defenses prior to flying your pink body over that airspace where now you're at risk of getting shot down by a surface-to-air missile. And human spies are very effective, but it's risky. Iran's right now executing suspected informants, but Mossad's encrypted channels using quantum-resistant algorithms keep assets in play. But what happens if Israel confirms enrichment? So F-35s, F-15Is, and F-16Is likely loaded down with GBU-28 bunker busters. Those are capable of penetrating 30 meters of Earth, so they could definitely target vent shafts and shut off the different vent shafts, so they could actually shut down the cool air that would need to go in to cool the centrifuges prior to trying to get something bigger like another GBU-57 into those vent shafts. And Israel's Barak MX system with ASA radars, those track low signature drones in cluttered airspace. They boast a 95% detection rate. Israel's also got electromagnetic jammers like the Elta's ELL 8251, and that disrupts Iranian drone signals, and that can actually neutralize drone swarms. But finding every ghost lab is like chasing a phantom. Israel needs hard evidence to act, and Iran's keeping it on the down low as best they can, and they're executing anyone that they even think might have the potential of being a spy for Mossad. But how is Iran going to counter all this? So as we saw, Iran is putting up a fight, and they will again if this war kicks off. Iran's keeping their uranium plot under wraps. Scientists are locked in fortified hideouts, probably like Pickaxe Mountain as their #1 location right now, and that is guarded by IRGC crazy elite units with anti-drone systems. Decoy convoys and fake lab sites, some with dummy centrifuges, will be the focus for Iran. They will focus on deception, and they will try to get Israel to use most of its resources on fake sites. But after losing 13 scientists in June, Iran's executing anyone they suspect of spilling secrets, with reports of 20 alleged informants killed since July. Ghost labs use analog comms as well, like handwritten notes, couriers. They're doing that to try to dodge digital leaks. But if Iran's enriching, and my guess is that they likely are, they're keeping it quieter than a ninja in a dance competition. A ninja would be quiet in a dance competition, right? Or is that just me? Iran's missile arsenal is also a growing threat as well. They launched 550 ballistic missiles and 1,100 drones in June, losing a third of their launchers. Intel estimates 1,000 to 1,500 medium-range missiles remain, including the Khaibar Shakan, which has a 15-kilometer range, and hypersonic Fatah 2 with maneuverable warheads to slip past defenses. Intel also suggests that Iran is hiding missiles in nuke-resistant bunkers near Pickaxe Mountain, building more in secret factories under Mount Damavand, possibly with North Korean blueprints for cluster warheads. Low-flying Havazieh cruise missiles with a 1,350-kilometer range could sneak under the radar, and a buildup of 500-plus new Fatah 2s or EMP warheads could push Israel to strike. So who knows, Iran might be getting close to that 500 number as we speak, and my best estimate is that Israel is tracking that number very closely. So my guess is that if Iran hits that 500-plus number of the Fatah 2s, or if Israel detects that they've enriched uranium to a 90% level, which allows it to be put into a nuclear weapon, Israel will ring that bell one more time and they'll go back in. And as with most things, if this kicks off again, I would expect it to be bloodier. I would expect it to be a more intense version of what we saw before, because both sides are going to up the ante, and that's just kind of how it goes with conflict. So now I want to bring you guys into some more of that breaking news. Again, I want to start intertwining this into my videos. Let me know if you appreciate that below. But we're going to talk a little bit about global conflict, just about a minute or two. So Russia's jet-powered kamikaze drones like the Garin 3 are slamming into Ukraine. They're hitting Kyiv and other cities with speeds of 370 miles per hour, and that can outpace some of the defenses, and that forces Ukraine to burn through costly missiles like AIM-120s and Patriot PAC-3s, priced at somewhere between $1 to $4 million each. Ukraine's testing interceptor drones, but these high-flying Garin 3s built with Iranian tech and possibly Chinese parts are a nightmare. With Russia producing hundreds of these monthly at the Alabuga plant, this ups the ante in drone warfare. And you can bet US companies like Anduril are taking note that Russia is upping the ante with this new drone tech. And then speaking of Russia, President Trump is countering Russia's nuclear threats by deploying 2 Ohio-class nuclear submarines, likely the USS Tennessee and the USS Wyoming, to the Baltic Sea, conducting patrols near Kaliningrad to signal strength and monitor Russian naval movements. Because Russia is just hammering drones, and they're hammering the civilian population in drones as President Trump is calling for a ceasefire. So Russia is essentially using World War II tactics to try to drive the civilian population crazy with the amount of damage that Russia is doing to the civilian population. And Russia is banking on the fact that they can drive the civilian population to the table with pure frustration by killing civilians. And there's lots of things heating up in the South China Sea. Taiwan is scrambling jets after 15 Chinese drones had an incursion near Kinmen Island. And there's different reports floating around the internet saying that China will someday soon try to take back Taiwan, and that Russia will up the ante with Ukraine as China tries to take Taiwan, which will create a two-pronged problem for the US to try to protect Ukraine and Taiwan at the same time. So as you can see, the world is skating on a razor's edge. I'll keep you posted with these current event updates if you enjoy them during this video. But this one specifically about Iran's uranium plot, Pickaxe Mountain, ghost labs, and propaganda, that is a high-stakes gamble that we might see play out over the next couple months if this conflict were to kick back off. Israel's tech is relentless, but Iran's countermeasures are tight as well. So the fuse is lit, and one wrong move could ignite a firestorm. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. Thank you so much. Let me know what you think about the Iran-Israel conflict kicking back off in the comments below, or any of the current events that I covered in the updates of this video. Thanks so much for watching. The best compliment you can give the channel is just to watch this video right here. If you'd watch that video, I'd greatly appreciate it. It'll help the channel grow, and it would mean a lot. So I'll see you on this video right here. It says Ryan, also known as Max Afterburner, also known as the fighter pilot next door, signing off.